Beautiful, I want you to hear me gently when I say this. Inaction is a decision. Silence, that is a choice. And refusal is information. And ignoring that reality only prolongs your pain. Hey beautiful, are you done with the pain, devastation, and overwhelm that marital betrayal has thrown at you? And you need a real roadmap to recovery. And you also desire to heal God's way. Well, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Lisa, a betrayal, trauma, and infidelity recovery specialist who went from being crushed and humiliated by my own husband's affair to a global sought-after recovery specialist, helping Christian women and couples just like you heal and recover from the devastation of marital betrayal, all while doing it God's way. Are you ready to dive in? I know I am. So, grab your favorite latte, maybe a glass of wine, snuggle up with your favorite blanket on the couch, and let's focus on you right now. Let's do this, beautiful. Welcome back to the Beauty Beyond Betrayal podcast. If you're listening to this episode, chances are you're sitting in one of the most devastating places a woman can be. And I've been in your shoes, beautiful. I remember it like it was yesterday. Well, what are we talking about? Your husband has betrayed you. And now, on top of the betrayal, he's saying he doesn't want to work on the marriage. Listen, I know that feeling. I remember the day I looked at my husband on Discovery Day and said, just stop the affair. I'll forgive you. We will move forward. Let's work on us. And he literally looked at me and said, I can't. I'm in love with her. What do you do with this? I mean, he says he doesn't want to work on the marriage. Well, let me say this clearly from the very beginning. That pain is real. I know because I endured it. That confusion is normal. And hear me loudly on this one. This is not your fault. It is not your fault. Today, I want to speak directly to you, the woman who is feeling abandoned after the betrayal. You're the one who's asking, how do I heal when the person who broke it won't help to fix it? You're also probably asking, what am I supposed to do now? And how do I move forward without losing myself? Like, I've been married for a while. I only know myself as being married. Like, what do I do? Well, beautiful, today's episode is for you. So, grab your coffee, maybe a glass of wine. Let's take a little bit of time because we need to address this for you. All right, we need to look at some hard truths, okay? So that's where I want to first begin with the hard truth. We don't talk about this enough. Reconciliation is impossible without mutual effort. I'm going to say that again. Reconciliation is impossible without mutual effort. It takes two. My husband was not ready. He wasn't. He was too wrapped up and too addicted to the affair. So because he was not ready, he couldn't walk away. And I couldn't restore us without him being a part of that. It does take two. You cannot heal a marriage alone. You cannot rebuild trust by yourself. And you cannot force repentance or humility or ownership out of someone who refuses to step into it. I tried all of that. It doesn't work. And when your spouse, the one who's unfaithful, refuses to work on the marriage, your focus must shift. Not because you're giving up. Now, I didn't give up on my marriage. I didn't. But my focus definitely had to shift. Because, remember this, your healing and safety matter. And I was not safe with my husband continuing in an affair with another woman. And I couldn't heal being in that environment either. Now, at this point, the question becomes less about saving your marriage and more about, well, saving yourself, like healing yourself. Now, in and of yourself, you can't save yourself. And in and of yourself, you can't heal yourself. But partnering with God, it matters right here and right now. So what's really happening to you right now, spiritually and emotionally? When your husband refuses to do the work, well, it often triggers deep abandonment wounds. Like you feel rejected, abandoned, all the things, right? What is wrong with me? What did I do wrong? I am defective. Then there's panic and desperation. What is going to happen to me in the future? What about finances? What about the kids? Where am I going to live? I'm not working currently. What am I going to do for a job? You get it, right? And of course, the self-blame. If I were better, if I were skinnier, if I were, not as naggy, if I gave him more sex, all the things, he'd stay. I know you've said yes, I thought those. And then there's the trauma bond that keeps you stuck, hoping he'll change. You just kind of stay in it for a little while. But hear me gently. Inaction on his point, on his side, is a decision. Silence is a choice. And refusal is information. And ignoring that reality, well, it only prolongs your pain. I hope you heard that. I know that's hardcore truth. But beautiful, we've got to speak truth into you because it's the truth that begins to heal and set you free. Now, there are 3 most important steps that you can take right now for yourself. And I want to share those with you. Because you need to put these into place. I put these into place, and I'm so glad that I did. Now, granted, my betrayal happened right at lockdown with COVID in April 3rd, 2020. So we're talking, 6 years almost. And so that was D-Day for me. That's when I found out he had already been involved for 2.5 years, and he would continue for another 1.5 years, and it was just a debacle. But there were 3 things that I needed to do for myself. And it took me a good 3 months to get these things in place because, well, the first month I went and stayed with my daughter and her family, then came back home and had to get my affairs in order because he would not stop the affair. So I need to find, I chose to leave the home. I found a place to stay, got all my finances in order. There was so much that I needed to do. So it took me about 3 good months. I ended up moving out July of 2020. But in the meantime, I put these 3 things into place and it really helped to balance me out. So I'm going to share those with you, okay? These are your 3 most important steps to take right now for yourself. The first step is to shift your focus to your healing. Now, this is not the time to chase answers, right? You're trying to, why did you do this to me? How could you do this to me? Right? If he is flat refusing to give up the pornography, he sees nothing wrong with it. If he flat refuses, like my husband did, to step away from the affair, if he's choosing to continue in all these things, he's not repentant, he's continuing in that sin, right? This is not the time for you to continue to go down the rabbit hole of why did you do this? How could you do this? Because it gets you nowhere. I know because I did that. This is also not the time to beg for clarity because he doesn't have clarity right now, so he can't offer that to you. And it's definitely not the time to wait for him to decide your future. Many of us get stuck in that, well, decide what you're going to do. Beautiful. What about you? What about what you deserve? You deserve to heal. So stop waiting on him to decide what your future holds. Because God's not done with you. Whether your husband decides to continue in his debacle or not, God is going to take care of you. So what time is it? Well, it's the time to stabilize you, to prioritize your mental, emotional, and physical health. to get betrayal trauma informed support that you desperately need right now. And stop minimizing your pain in order to keep the peace. We don't need to do that anymore. So let's stabilize you. You see, healing does not start when he changes. Not by any means. Healing starts when you stop abandoning yourself and you choose you. Psalm 34:18 reminds us the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. God is with you. He is there right now. You just turn around and he's like, daughter, I'm ready to take you by the hand to embrace you. Let's get you healed. Like he's literally there with you, waiting on you to turn into your healing journey. So let's start there. So shift your focus to your healing. Here's step number 2. Set clear, enforced boundaries, not ultimatums. Okay, this is not the time for ultimatums. Ultimatums will leave you nowhere. If you don't do this, then I'll do this. The divorce thing, right? Well, at that point, he's going to call your bluff, and you've got to be willing to set some, we call them non-negotiables in the Roadmap to Recovery program. I hope you set those. We don't do ultimatums, we do non-negotiables. Those work better. But you need some clear enforced boundaries. Now, boundaries are not punishments. This is not where you're punishing him. He's going to feel like it. Absolutely. But you're not punishing him. They are clarity and self-respect in action. Okay, so you're giving yourself some clear roads here to travel on, and you're respecting yourself. You're putting this into action. So some examples of some God-honoring healthy boundaries might include no contact with the affair partner. Like if you cannot stop contacting the affair partner, then I'm going to have to move into a direction. And that's exactly what I told my husband. You either stop the affair or we will separate. Now, that was not an ultimatum. It was a clear boundary. And I was ready to back it up. And so he didn't stop the affair, so I moved out. Also, full transparency. I need to know where you are, when you're there, what have you. If he cannot meet that, then you need to put a consequence in place. Then there's the willingness to seek counseling. Okay, look, if you are ready to move forward, we need to seek some counseling. But if you're not willing to either go to a trauma-informed counselor who specializes in affair recovery, or a good trauma-informed coach who does this as well and who specializes in affair recovery, if you're not willing to do that, well, we're going to have to set a boundary here, and I'm going to adhere to it. And then a clear timeline for decision making. So mine was by July. So now, did I tell him that? No, I didn't. I just told him, if you're not going to stop the affair, then I will move out, because I'm not going to be second fiddle to anyone. I'm your wife. And if I can't be respected and you can't be in this relationship, then you don't get access to me at all. So my private timeline was July of 2020. I put my timeline in place. I started getting everything in a row and ready to go. And when he did not adhere to that and he kept on with that affair, July 11th, the movers backed that truck up to that house and it was cleaned out and I moved out. Now, here's the key part that most women miss. Boundaries without enforcement are just wishes. I hope you heard that, okay? Boundaries without enforcement are just wishes. You got to be willing to enforce the boundary and back it up. So if he wants to have his cake and eat it too, your pain and his comfort, in other words, you're allowed to look at him and say, this is what I require in order for us to stay. If this does not happen, I will take steps to protect myself. Beautiful, you have every right. Every right. That is not controlling. That is courageous. God does not command you to sit in your husband's sin. I hope you heard that. Now, here's step number 3. Decide what you need for safety and peace. This is the hardest step. It really is. And it's the most empowering one. Sometimes healing means continuing to stand for the marriage, but just at a distance. That's what I did, okay? I kind of stood for it, but I was at a distance. I moved out for a while because I was not going to condone his behavior. It also means creating separation. So we did a therapeutic separation. And yes, I help couples do that inside of our programs. Also, healing sometimes means starting divorce proceedings to force clarity. Now, after we had been separated for over a year and he still was unwilling to stop the affair, I ended up choosing to file for divorce. That's what it took for clarity to take place. It forced his hand. Now, it doesn't mean that I was the second choice. Please understand that. The infidelity bubble was finally able to burst so that my husband could wake up. God got a hold of him, and then things transpired and changed, and true heart transformation took place. Also, sometimes healing means choosing a path forward that prioritizes peace over the current chaos. So let me just say this clearly. Divorce is not failure. I know some of you think it is, and some of you, well, it may end up that way. I've had many women that it has ended up that way. It's not failure because you did everything you could. It was his choice, all right? Staying is not holiness, okay? When we put up with poor behavior and we're just allowing them to continue in the pornography or the affair and we're just enduring it, that's not holiness. It really isn't. Obedience is listening to God and honoring truth. Even starting the divorce process does not mean it has to end that way. It didn't for me. We ended up reconciling. But it does stop you from living in limbo. And that's what it did for me. So the core truth that you need to hear today is this. When your spouse refuses to work on the marriage, your power is no longer in convincing them. That's not power, beautiful. Your power is actually in defining your non-negotiables, reclaiming your identity, healing your own trauma, and choosing a future rooted in peace, not pain, whether or not your marriage makes it or not. God does not ask you to sacrifice your mental, emotional, or spiritual health to preserve dysfunction. He doesn't. He wants you healed, and he wants you whole and free. So that's why the roadmap to recovery exists. It was created when I was seeking a roadmap so that I could heal from the devastating effects of my husband's marital betrayal. And I needed a roadmap. And there are also way too many women who are trying to heal betrayal alone without structure, support, or clarity. So inside of the roadmap to recovery, this is where you learn how to heal betrayal trauma even if your spouse won't participate. You set biblical trauma-informed boundaries, break trauma bonds, and stop living in limbo. You learn how to regulate your nervous system and rebuild your identity, worth, and your future. And the great thing is you don't need him to start healing. You just need a roadmap designed by God and a community that understands you, a sisterhood. And that's what you get inside of the roadmap to recovery. And we're getting ready to close the doors. This is the last call. So you have the next 48 hours to secure a spot in this 6-month program, and the next one will not open up until July of 2026. Stop waiting, okay? Stop waiting for another 6 months to heal. Your time is now, beautiful. So go below in the show notes, click on Roadmap to Recovery. It'll tell you all about it. Secure your spot and join the sisterhood. And let's get you healed, whole, and free in 2026. Spots are limited, like I said, and this program is for Christian women who are ready to stop surviving and you're ready to start healing. So if your husband betrayed you and refuses to work on the marriage, I want you to hear this before we stop today's program. You are not powerless. You are not stuck, and your story is not over. Whether your marriage is restored or God leads you in a new direction, beautiful, you can heal, you can rise, and you can walk forward whole and free. and you don't have to do it alone. I can't wait to see you inside of the Roadmap to Recovery, and I'll see you in the next episode. Be blessed. Thanks for stopping by and spending a little time with me today. I hope you enjoyed today's show and you found hope, healing, and encouragement. Please remember to subscribe to my podcast and leave a review. You can even screenshot this episode. You can share it out on Facebook and IG stories. This is how we get the message of hope and healing out to all women and couples who are in need of restoration after betrayal. And if you're ready to move out of that devastation and take the next step in your healing journey, well, make sure to reach out. Schedule your coaching session today. Until next time, love God, live your life passionately, and always choose joy in the midst of any circumstance that you may face. Cheers to you, beautiful.